cannas and irises outlining the porch railing in a profusion of red, purple, and yellow blossoms. The rickety wooden swing that protested its use with an awful reek, 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 reek sound. At least it used to. And the white frame house that was the background image behind all the ghostly shadows on the edge of my vision. The ones that hid, frightened. The ones you couldn't look at directly or they'd turn to ash and blow away in little gray whirlwinds. Those shadows beckoned to me from the corner of my eye, from the edge of my reflection in a mirror, a window pane, or a wine glass. They whispered secrets to me about that old house in dreams and screamed crazy images from it into my mind in horrifying night terrors. Somehow, the real house managed to appear just as brooding and foreboding as the dream-warped distortions. The looming 3-story structure was creepier now than when I last saw it 2+ decades ago. The wind picked up. The fine grit no longer rained out of the sky, it came at me horizontally. It was still only dust, but I really needed to go in, or at least go sit in my car parked on the street. I could stare at the house from the car. I didn't have to stand in the front yard in a sandstorm like some kind of nutcase, and that's what the neighbors would think. They'd think Anne Mitchell had lost it, that she was as loony as that grandmother of hers who was likely wearing her dress inside out and her shoes on the wrong feet, sitting in a squeaky platform rocker in the parlor behind that big oak door, singing old hymns. There's a long old trail a-winding to the land beyond the sea, in her husky, off-key voice. And they'd be right. Little Annie Mitchell's mind was at least half a bubble-off plum and slipping farther away from level every day. Suddenly the wind slammed into me, almost knocked me off balance, whipped my hair in a frenetic dance. The grit sandblasted the side of my face and my bare arms, filled every breath, gathered in the corners of my squinty eyes, and somehow found its way into my mouth. And it wasn't because I was smiling, so when I bit down, it crunched between my teeth. Every branch of the willow tree lashed out like a cat-o'-nine-tails, and the hanging pots of blue pansies on the porch swayed back and forth, straining at the thin wires that affixed them to S-hooks in the ceiling. The tall, skinny juniper trees next to the street cavorted like the blow-up tube figures you see in front of car dealerships in grand openings. I stood firm, though, held my ground. Maybe the sandstorm itself will help shake the memories loose. Oh, not all of them. I'm not ready for the whole herd. Just some. A few. Okay, one. Just one memory. I willed my mind to retrieve a lone recollection, a simple, ordinary memory, and waited to see a thin slice of dark purple haze peek out between the door and the jamb of the place in my head where they were locked away. A tiny opening just big enough for one little memory to escape. Other people have vast stores of childhood memories. They can recall the time their father got up barefoot in the middle of the night and stepped on one of the jacks they left on the hardwood floor. How he danced around on one foot, hollering so loud Mama was afraid the neighbors would think there was an axe murderer in the house. Or the day their little brother almost got his finger bitten off by a snapping turtle and Grandma had to use the pliers to pry its jaws open. Or the yellow-eyed mutt that got old and ripped out hellacious doggy farts, but the whole family loved him so much they pretended it wasn't happening, even when the stink got so bad they had to open all the windows and turn on the fan. I had memories like that, too. The difference was, they weren't mine. They belonged to somebody else. My earliest memory wasn't the heart-warming, Christmas morning basset hound puppy image I described whenever somebody asked, "What's the first thing you remember?" A little girl with freckles I sat beside once on a bus told me that one, and I snatched it up like a card shark palming an ace. I needed a charmingly innocuous recollection.